Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're doing great as we move into a new year. And you know what that means, it's time to look back at the year that was. So, that being said, in a time span that gave us chrome domes, mind wipes, rewinds, and so much more, we're going to take a few minutes now and do a countdown of the best 10 figures of 2016 in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and as always, like, comment, subscribe, share, check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, and me everywhere. And as of this recording, we are only a couple of days away from the start of my stop motion series, Universal Collision. The first 2 episodes will go up simultaneously, really. And I'll say now, those 2, the camera work is a little bit harsh, but that's really because when I started doing it, I had no idea what I was doing. I still hope that the story's solid. I certainly had it evolve over a long period of time. So check all that out, and I'm going to start off with an honorable mention. This year, early in the year, not this year, last year I guess we should say now, very early in the year, February of 2016, friend of the channel, Costa, managed to hook me up with the Reveal the Shield Wreck-Gar. I've never had a Junkion mold before, and as kind of all over the map as that is, I think it works really well for the character. I say an honorable mention because technically that mold again came out this year, this past year, as part of a Platinum Edition Planet of Junk Clash set. So I kind of include it. Anyway, I looked at the full mold in way back in episode 25. I looked at that Platinum set in episode 31, long time ago. So we're going to jump right into number 10, and I'm going to tell you, this was a difficult list to put together. This is made up from my own personal collection. Naturally, it's not definitive. It is based on my experience with the figures that I have. And there are other ones that could certainly be included on it that I'm sure people will disagree with. And there's a couple that some people managed to obtain in 2015 that I didn't manage to get my hands on until 2016. So I point that out because of number 10. And we're going to start things off in really a great way with this guy. Number 10 is the Combiner Wars Onslaught. I was impressed with this mold when it came out as Hotspot, but Onslaught is even better for a couple of reasons. The first being that it's really sort of fixed the whole issue of these leg pieces tabbing in when in torso mode, and he has heel spurs. Now, I looked at Onslaught in full back in episode 82, and I think in that review I complained a bit about his ability to stand. And as was recently pointed out to me by a viewer, Twisted Knight, I appreciate you pointing it out, I had forgotten to flip out his heel spurs. They should have come out. Now, I did realize it after the review. I thought about reshooting it, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to leave it and see how long it takes for somebody to notice I didn't flip out the heel spurs. Only took about, 10.5 months, I guess, something like that. I don't know, 7.5 months, however long it was ago that I put that up. But number 10, Onslaught, he is pretty fantastic overall. Number 9. Number 9 is going to be a controversial one that a lot of people do not like, but I think he's pretty fantastic. And it's this guy. Combiner Wars Skylinks. Yes, I like Skylinks. I'm a big fan. Mine stands on all 4 legs. He's probably not the best torso, but I don't ever plan to use him that way. A lot of people have complained and said, he's too small. Maybe he is. And maybe it's it's too bad that he can't officially split in two, though you can kind of fan mode a Lynx mode if you want. That being said, I was in for this guy at a Voyager price point. I don't think I would have been in for him at a leader class price point, even if that probably is a little more size accurate. Anyway, I looked at this guy, complete and in full in episode 88, long time ago, but I absolutely, positively loved him. Moving on. The next one is number 8, and I looked at this guy in full in episode 174. I think he was, pardon me, I think he was a standout for the wave that he came out in. Very much a standout in the line, and I'm talking about this guy. Titans Return Wolfwire, or Weird Wolf if you will. That being said, Wolfwire is pretty fantastic. Great articulation Wolf mode, a fun and interesting transformation. Not many weaknesses with this guy at all, and I looked at him in full in episode 174. The next one might be a bit of a surprise to a lot of people, but absolutely, positively impressed with this guy. Coming in strong at number 7 is this guy. Ooh, it is the Titans Return Rumble figure, although I'm just going to say I interpret him as Frenzy personally. That being said, I think the tablet mode actually works for this. I think he has great articulation. I love the fact that you can kind of fan mode his pile drivers. And I'm even kind of cool with the tank mode that he turns into. It's a legend-sized triple changer that really kind of works in all 3 modes and has pretty fantastic articulation. Oddly, I feel like this guy's a little more solid even than Rewind, who is also fantastic. I looked at Rumble in full back in episode 144. Coming in at number 6. Number 6 was one that I had a connection to, really from my childhood. It's one I really wanted, and living in a part of the world where I didn't think I was going to be able to land him, and yet I managed to. It is this guy, the Titans Return Brainstorm. I like the mold as Blur. I think it works great. I think it works even better as this guy. When the Voyager Class 1 came out a few years ago, I heard a lot of complaints about the head either popping off or the ball joint or something breaking. I feel like, his Titan Master works great. It looks great. The paint is nice and thick and pretty glorious on him. I think that this is a good size for him. Now, I understand the argument with a lot of people saying all of these guys should have probably been Voyagers. I get that. But I think a deluxe size works great for them all. And even when that Generations 1 came out, I said, I don't know if I'm in for it because I always feel like the paint on the head is kind of sloppy. I think I prefer him as a deluxe. We finally got this guy. I was worried where he was an exclusive, and I don't live in a place that has Walgreens anywhere. I didn't think I was going to be able to get him. Managed to, so very, very thankful. Love him. Looked at him in full in episode 206. Coming in at number 5 is one that might surprise some people, might not. But it is the Robots in Disguise Bisque. Interesting transformation. The orange really pops and looks great. Granted, the head is kind of soft and doesn't have the best articulation, but the rest of his articulation is pretty spot on fantastic. I looked at him in full in episode 212. I have really been enjoying this RID line for the most part. A couple of misses, but for the most part, I feel like these have been really, really interesting figures. And coming in at number 4, someone I looked at in full in episode 191, and someone that I actually did a couple of custom paint apps on, but that doesn't detract from his absolute awesomeness. I'm talking about Titans Return Astrotrain. Comes in at number 4. Now I did do a bit of paint on him. I looked at him in full, like I said, in episode 191. I like this mold for Sentinel because Sentinel looked primish without just turning into a truck. Without being, an Optimus clone. Naturally though, the mold works better and more fantastic for this guy. I kind of feel like he almost jumped off the screen. It is pretty excellent. I think the shuttle mode works really well. The train mode, I'll give you, that's probably the weakest for this guy. But still, it's long. If you do a little bit of your own custom paint work, it looks a little bit better. So in the end, I think that this guy's a complete success. Coming in at number 3. Number 3 I looked at in episode 218, and it is really hard for me to have anyone else hold this spot. I'm talking about Leader Class 6-Shot. And let's get this back a bit. Leader Class 6-Shot. He looks like that G1 figure, totally just redone with better articulation. That's what he's been described as, and I agree. He is absolutely fantastic. He pulls off all 6 modes that harken back to his his animation look, harken back to that original toy. And the truth is, I believe I gave this guy 9s across the board. You can check all of that out, of course, for yourself in his full review. We're down to the top 2 for the year. And the next one I looked at in 2 parts. The first was the kind of overview. The second was the custom work that I did. And I'm talking about the guy I looked at in episodes 149 and 150, that being the entire Combiner Wars Computron set. And can I pull this back even further? The entire Combiner Wars Computron set. Now, that being said, there's a little bit of a caveat here. I just think that at number 2, it's Computron, period. Whether we are talking about this version or the Unite Warriors version, because it really depends on what your interests and your aesthetic choices were. They were both so different, both very valid. There are things I like and dislike about each, but the fact that nobody really expected to get this guy, this combiner, in the Combiner Wars line, I think speaks volumes to how he kind of came out as a surprise near the end of that run. And I have to say personally, again, going back to my childhood, this was the only full combiner that I had, and being able to have an updated version of him, you know what, it just hits all of those buttons for me. Love the guy. Granted, I did do some work on him. Glad that I did. Anyway, taking him out of it, the last one for the year. The one that is number 1, and I do have actually another honorable mention to do in a moment. And for this one, I'm actually gonna move things back here a nice bit to try and get as much as I can in, because number 1 for me, a figure that I looked at in 3 parts in episodes 116, 117, and 118, has to be the enormous Fortress Maximus. I don't really know how else I could term my glee for having this guy. The fact of the matter is, let's see if I can angle this up a bit. I never had the original. It would have been great to have the G1, but I never had it. A shame that I never had it. But this guy's a fantastic stand-in for the price point. And yes, he was expensive, but when you see those G1, versions, they are crazy in the aftermarket. Personally, I like the articulation of this guy. A lot of people panned him and said that his transformation just wasn't involved enough. And maybe that's true. But the fact is, for a kid that drooled over this guy and never had a representation of him until, about 30 years down the road, I can't argue with his absolute awesomeness, and that's why he gets the number 1 spot for 2016. all of that being said, I did obtain a figure. Starscream Girlfriend got me one this year that I need to throw in here, certainly as an honorable mention, because for me, he's one of those kind of grail figures that I wanted for oh so very long. So I guess we could call this 1A, bonus one. And that, of course, is this guy. It is Cybertron itself. Of course, I am talking about Primus. I just feel like that this is a figure that everyone deserves to have a version of in their collection. If you're part of the fandom, how can you not love Cybertron? So that's a little bit of a bonus, to be honest with you. I thank Starscream Girlfriend for getting him for me. I don't know, you know, if I can ever give her anything that I think will be as cool as this. And I looked at him in full in episode 100. Anyway, that's the whole list. Hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear what your favorites were. And you know what? I'd love to hear your thoughts on on the list that I gave here, and what you liked and what you didn't like, because everybody has their own taste. I hope that the year ahead is fantastic for you in every way possible, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the videos.